last-minute shake-up at 5:30 a.m., laundry situation not good. And when your focus is on helping your clients, it's easy to forget about yourself. But NASM knows trainers.
Morning, Ryan. Is your Taylor?
And staying in front of the day isn't always
Thanks,
as simple
Ryan.
as 1,
What's
2,
up?
3. So when the unexpected has you pressing pause,
What's the latest on creatine?
I'm going to get back to you on that.
let NASM1 help you press play. Visit NASM.org to sign up for a membership today.
You're listening to the NASM-CPT Podcast with Richey, winner of the Share Care Emmy Award for Social Storytelling and the official podcast of the National Academy of Sports Medicine.
Hey, y'all, and welcome to the NASM-CPT Podcast. My name is Richey, and today I'm going to lead with this. My client asked me this question. I just started training her, a couple weeks ago, and we had trained once a week. So we had done our second session. Now we've met for the third time. And she asked a very important question. I thought it was really good. She said, am I supposed to be sore after these workouts? And I said, why? And she goes, well, do I need to be sore in order to build muscle? And I thought, that's a great podcast topic. Do I need to get sore in order to build muscle? And so let me just back up a little bit with the conversation I had with her, because I think that's important. One of the number one reasons that new clients become former clients early on is that they get hurt. They are too sore. Now, this is not even injury, that they're too sore. They jump in hard and they're excited about it. And a lot of times they can do, people who are very, very new to working out can even do the overhead squat assessment. And I look 5 times from the front, 5 times from the side, 5 times from the back. And that's 15 body weight squats. And they haven't done anything like that in decades. They can be sore simply from doing the assessment. So I don't want to get people sore in their first couple of workouts. And I said, why do you want to be sore? Because I can make you sore. Like, if that's what you want, then let's wind it up and I can take you there. And she said, no, I don't want to be sore. And in fact, I don't even really want to build muscle. And I was like, okay, now I'm going to work on a couple of things with this client, but it still leads to the question, do I need to get sore in order to build muscle? And there's a lot of information on this. And I think ultimately the number one thing, just before we go anywhere else, the answer is no. No, you do not have to be sore in order to build muscle. And when we get to the end of the podcast episode, I'm going to explain a little bit more why, but for right now, I'm going to talk about some of the science that goes in behind it. So Damas et al. 2018, in the article entitled The Development of Skeletal Muscle Hypertrophy Through Resistance Training, the Role of Muscle Damage and Protein Synthesis. This is a quote from here, and it's the European Journal of Applied Physiology. Here's the quote. Increase in muscle protein synthesis post-resistance training session only contribute to muscle hypertrophy after the progressive attenuation of muscle damage, and even more significantly, when damage is minimal. So when muscle damage is attenuated, which means it's only once you stop being sore that you can go into this process, and damage has to be minimal in order for that hypertrophy to take place. Furthermore, resistance training protocols that do not promote significant muscle damage still induce similar muscle hypertrophy and strength gains compared to conditions that do promote initial muscle damage. Thus, we conclude. You can tell I'm reading, because I don't really say thus we conclude in my everyday vernacular. Thus, we conclude that muscle damage is not the process that mediates the potentiates resistance training induced muscle hypertrophy. So true. This episode of the NASM-CPT Podcast is brought to you by NASM One, the membership for trainers and coaches. Members enjoy unlimited access to hundreds of career resources. Get the Edge app to schedule and program clients. Enjoy half off all certifications and specializations, access free CEUs, and more. All of this for just $35 a month. Go to nasm.org/membership to learn more about NASM One. Now, this article a little bit older, but I liked the article itself. This is by Flan et al., entitled "Muscle Damage and Muscle Remodeling: No Pain, No Gain?" That's a question mark at the end of it. No pain, no gain? From the Journal of Experimental Biology, and I'm just going to quote from the article. Subjects were divided into two experimental populations, pre-trained and naive. Demonstrable muscle damage was avoided in the pre-trained group by a 3-week gradual ramp-up protocol. By contrast, the naive group, the NA group, was subjected to an initial damaging bout of exercise. Both groups participated in an 8-week high-force eccentric cycle ergometry program. I'm not good at ergometry. It's 20 minutes, 3 times per week, designed to equate to total work being done between the training groups. The naive group experimented signs of damage absent in the pre-trained group, as indicated by greater than 5 times higher levels of plasma creatine kinase and self-reporting of initial perceived soreness and exertion. Yet, muscle size and strength gains were not different for the two groups. The pre-trained group and the analysis revealed similar increases of growth factors of IGF-1 and mRNA in both groups. Likewise, significant increases in mean cross-sectional area based on total muscle volume, and they were equal in both groups. Finally, strength increases were identical in both groups when it came to improvement. The results of the study suggest that muscle rebuilding, for example, hypertrophy, can be initiated independent of any discernible damage to muscles. All right, so that's all that I want to do when it comes to research. And there's a lot of research that goes into it, and it really comes down to what are some of the things that are factors leading into hypertrophy. And the question is DOMS one of those things? And the answer is no. So let me say this, and I think this is an important part. Muscle damage is not beneficial to hypertrophy, especially when it limits volume. So if you are too sore to work out, then that limits the amount of supercompensation that your body can go through. That limits the amount of additional volume that you can add in throughout the week. And it's one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of the one body part per week workout protocol. So if you do one body part per week, then you have a lot less volume throughout the week. Ideally, you do 2 to 3 times per week per body part in order to get that super compensation, that reaction. And you can't do 2 to 3 times per week if you're super sore. In fact, generally speaking, and I love this because my friend Andrea Adams, who hosts our Peak Physique podcast, and he's a huge contributor. He's a huge man, but he's a huge contributor to our bodybuilding and physique content that we have, the course that we have from NASM. And he says, like, I like you to only, if you're sore, I need you to be 90% recovered, 95% recovered before you go in and do another lift. And what does that mean to us? That means that we're not going in doing a lot of lifting sore. We're not going to build the muscle we need to build because we don't have the recovery we need between bouts of exercise. So if you go look at your super compensation chart, when we go into a catabolic state, and then we're not going up into the anabolic state again post-workout for a couple of days, but I'm hitting my legs again while I'm still in a catabolic state, then I'm going to drop even lower. I'm not going to anabolize. That's the anabolic steroids that you hear about. That's the building. Well, we go anabolic. But our idea that we're trying to do is that supercompensation is like your level. It's a level playing field. This is the muscle that I have, the size that I have, and then we go catabolic and we start breaking down muscle protein after a workout, but then it goes anabolic. And our idea is that if we don't work out while we're in that anabolic state and we don't touch it again, then it just levels right back out and we go back to steady state. But if I lift again during that anabolic phase, then I go catabolic from that peak. And then when I go anabolic again, I go into an even higher peak. And so what my goal is just try to hit workouts again over and over during those anabolic peaks. Well, how often is that generally? It's every 2 to 3 days. So I can do this throughout the week and hit my supercompensation anabolic peaks and continue to build muscle. But I can't do that if I'm sore. Then I work out again during a catabolic phase and I get lower and lower and become more and more catabolic. And we want to try to build muscle. Remember, your muscle growth, your protein synthesis doesn't happen because you worked out. It happens because you are recovering from your workout. And if you do too much damage is not a factor in muscle hypertrophy. So you are literally limiting your chances of building more muscle by being too sore. Cut it out. Cut it out. All right, y'all. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, share with your fitness friends and family. And if you don't mind, leave a review. Leaving a review of the podcast helps other people find it, and it allows more people to find us, and that would be helpful. If you want to reach out to me, you can do so. Hit me up on Instagram at dr.rickrichey or email me rick.richey@nasm.org. Y'all keep inspiring people to fitness. Thanks for listening. This has been the NASM-CPT Podcast.